Hi, I saw a card that was an embossed resist where they did a soft sea foam brushing over it using the blending brushes. And I was thinking of doing that, but then I thought, I think I'd rather watercolor. So that's what we're gonna do today. I pulled out my Gallery Bloom stamp set because I really like these flowers. And I'm going to stamp it on watercolor paper. This one I've cut to 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 because I want a little room to tape it for the watercoloring. I can always cut it down smaller if I choose. Oops. I got my Versamark. First I'm going to use my embossing buddy. Then I'm going to ink it up with Versamark. Need to get a new Versamark. It's getting not as good. I mean, you can't see that at all, and I don't think I can even see that. Let's see. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use gold, maybe? I think I'm going to use gold. Let's see how that turns out. So I'm going to try gold embossing powder. Yeah, that didn't stamp great. So because I used the Stamparatus, I can heat set this and then stamp it again. So watercolor paper is kind of bumpy, and my Versamark ink pad likely needs to be re-inked. So I'm going to try it again. And try and make sure that I get a real good image this time. And if it slides, then I can cut this part out. That looks much better. Okay, there we go. Put this away. Okay, I am now going to tape this onto this scrap board I had my husband cut for me. I painted it white just because I liked having a coating on it. And the tape onto the board is just to keep the paper flat in case I use too much water. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my glass mat, only because it keeps this in place. And I've chosen to use Petal Pink and Soft Sea Foam re-inkers, and that is what I'm going to paint with. I'm going to try with a drop of each and see how intense that color is. And I've got water painters, but you can just use any paintbrush and water that you might have. I'll use a little green. Okay, mostly it's going to be Petal Pink, which is always an orangier pink. I don't know why. I want it really runny. I want it just a very muted color. Okay, maybe not that muted. I'm just, because this is embossed, the water is going to stay where I put it and then dry there. And then once I've gotten this layer applied, I might add a little more ink and then go back in to make some of the areas a little darker. I could also probably just let gravity do the work and then dry it a little. I don't want to get too hot because I don't want to remelt the embossing powder. Okay, I'm gonna dry that off a little because I used, I think, too much water. I'm gonna add another drop of re-inker. A little less water, and I'm going to just do the bottom a little darker, and maybe places that I think should be shaded. I am not the person to follow if you want to learn how to color. If I'm doing it, it's going to be easy. In general, I'm just going to go at the bottom and then anywhere that lines are drawn in. I'm using the image as it was drawn. Just to get a little depth. Okay, what do you think? I'm gonna go with that. And I'm just gonna, oh, maybe that was a little too much to take off. Might wanna let that air dry a little bit longer before I blot it. Pretty much wherever there's a seam, I'm just trying to add a little color. Okay, now I'm going to clean my water brush by just squeezing some out and wiping it on a rag. And now I'm going to get my soft sea foam. I'd rather lighter than darker. I can always make it darker, but I can't make it lighter with ink. Okay, well, that's pretty good. So I'm just coloring in the leaves. It's not, I don't do a lot of shading, but I can just make things a little darker, a little lighter to give it a little bit of depth. Okay, whoop, forgot this petal down here, and this one here. Oh, and that, there, oh my goodness, there's more petals than I thought. I think I got them all. Now I'm going to dry it a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to add a little more green again, just to deepen it where there might be shadows. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm wondering if I want to put like some wash in the back, maybe a blue. Let's see, so I picked my colors from the color, what are these called? I forget what they're called. Ooh, I do not want mossy meadow, but maybe a very light summer splash in the background. We'll give that a try. If it doesn't work, it's okay. It's only paper. We can always start again. Now I just had to find my rankers for that. I keep those separate because there's only so much space. And I have actually never used this one. Put it in there. And I definitely want this very washed out. I do not want a lot of color. And I might take a scrap just to see how much, yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit more water, I think. Okay, so I stick that on, and then if I blot it, that's a nice, very pale blue there. I don't know if you can even see it, but I'm gonna give that a try. I'm gonna just trace around some, give it some water around it, and then quickly blot, because I just want a little bit of color there, not a lot. I just felt like it needed some sort of background. And then I can clean it up a little bit after I've done going close to make it go out even further. Part of the issue I'm going to have is I'm going to get a hard line from the tape, and I don't want that. So for removing the tape, just kind of pull it back on itself and gently pull. So I don't need this anymore. Kind of like how it's looking. Perfect around the edge, but I want it to kind of blend out. Whoops. Almost done, I think. Yeah, I like that. Maybe a little bit more down here. There we go. Okay. So that's what it's looking like. It's very pale. Now, yeah, this is fun. I'm just gonna get rid of that. This is why I have rags specific to here. And you'd be surprised at how much color comes out in the wash. I just throw it in the washing machine. Not with my clothes. I don't want that color to go on my clothes, but I will just throw it in the washing machine with my cleaning rags. Okay, move that out of the way. So there is our focal point. And now I've got a soft seafoam card base, and I thought a piece of vellum might be nice because I wanted it sort of monochromatic but not too monochromatic. I don't know. So I'm going to emboss the vellum, and I'm going to stick this on top. I might pull out some twine again. So here we go. I'm going to use the beautiful pattern embossing folder, and I like to line it up because this is what'd you call it, symmetrical pattern. I like to emboss and line it up with a line on the bottom as best I can. And this is a 3D, so I'm going to use the specialty plate. Just run that through. think what I'm gonna do is put dimensionals on this, then attach it to the vellum, and then I can attach it to the soft sea foam. But before I do that, let's get out some twine. I'm going to use the linen thread again. And then, oh, maybe I should just do this first. I am going to use I finally got the 3 banner punch, and I pulled out the Happy Birthday from the Banner Sane stamp set. And I think I'm going to do that. I might do white, because I did color the background. It doesn't necessarily, I don't know if it'll bother me as much having that. Oh wait, I pulled out watercolor paper. Well, maybe I'll just use that. I can stamp that, and it's a nice strip, so then I can pick which one I want to use. We'll go with that. Now, what color? Ooh, maybe I will do this in gold embossing also. We'll see if it turns out. My bag is really full. Now this is we're just hoping that it works, because I'm doing this on a block. I cannot restamp it. Looks pretty good. Okay, we'll heat that up. I think that's good. Oh, nope, that was not. Let's see if I can get it to stick or no. I think. Nope. Apparently it was too warm. It went on my thumb. Okay, we'll try that again. Okay, I'm not going to touch it this time, but I think that looks good. Let's see, maybe this one, or should we go with that one? I think I might want this one. And that flew to my stomach. There we go. Move some things out of the way. Okay, so this is going to go about here. Ooh. You know, I got some extra pieces from the embossing when I did that. I kind of like how it looks. Well, anyway. Okay. Now I'm going to do some twine. 1, 2, 3. And tie it over here-ish. Like maybe around there. Let's see. I think that will work. I still haven't found my beeswax. Gonna have to get a new one. I even pulled out some boxes and looked through them. I have no idea what I did with it. Okay. Then we tuck that one in there. I think that's gonna need some dimensionals because of, so maybe I will not pop it up. unless I compensate. I don't like to do dimensionals over dimensionals because most of the time I am mailing my cards and I want them to be able to be flat enough to go through the mail. So in general, I try not to put too much dimension on. If I've got 2 layers that are dimensional, I work to offset where the dimensionals sit. Okay, so that should be good. That I might want to glue anyway. So where's my glue? Put some glue there. Get that on it. Let it sit for a minute. Do straight dimensionals. I think they'll fit. Yep. So that'll go on there, but I'm going to stick this on the embossed panel first so that I know where I can put adhesive, because I want to make sure it falls behind this panel so you can't see it. Oops, I already got that one. Okay. Now let's try and get you straight. I suppose I could have just run some adhesive down the center. Yeah, maybe I will, because this is really rolling. Curling on me. Okay, that's a little easier. And then I'm just trying to center this. Sometimes I'll just use liquid glue on the back of my dimensionals, but I think dry adhesive works better on vellum in my opinion. I don't know, I could be wrong. Okay. I might have to put some more dimensionals there, just because it's curling up a little. I'm gonna stick that right about there on top of the twine. And yeah, I'm gonna stick, okay, if you've never done this, this is how I do it. I don't know how other people do, but when I need to get a dimensional in, I pull out a pokey tool. Put the dimensional on it, and then stick it underneath. Pull off both sides, so it's sticky on both sides. And then there. Still might need more. But I think that's kind of pretty. What do you think? That is my card.